our annual event during his State House briefing. But what is corruption? We so much hear about it. It pains us. And so I'm inviting you to my class, but I'm cutting the class of an hour into 5 minutes so I can give my faculty and colleagues to also participate and share what they have been preparing. Of course, it's the misuse of power. It destroys our lives. I was looking at an online statement of a friend, and I could see Wave transaction would remit 90% of the quarterly budget, the money that goes to our people back home. And I'm like, is this what we spend sending money home? He says, yeah. And so in this training, again, we are going to look and explore the insidious effects of corruption on individuals. And so, may I ask you to silence your phone and detach yourself for the 5 minutes of social media for now. Katie, move to the next slide. In a society like ours that is so corroded with corruption and bribery, it scatters us. And it hinders our economic growth. Government officials misuse their power for personal gain. And this leads us to have the mistreatment and mistrust of our local government and officers. It undermines the social cohesion and trust, leading to a decreased civic engagement, collaboration that causes the social and political instability. Next slide, please. You and I know the definitions of corruption. That would be my freshman year undergrad students. It's a criminal offense that quite often is corrupted by our Ugandan government officials. Next. It's the common man's blood. It is a cancer that has castigated many of our local officers. Next slide. Does anyone see the dangers of these figures? The absenteeism, the corruption. Kate, can you move that copy, please? Bribing the judicial officers, corruption, the procurement. Does anyone see where we are? Why our country has been hijacked by the wolves? And what that leads to us? And why embassies close down doors? And many embassies are going to be closing down doors next year, 2025. The implications of corruption, the loss of productivity, 3.6 million annually will require each of the 135 districts to employ at least 50 youth annually. The numbers, ladies and gentlemen, speak for themselves. We don't need even to explain more. The loss of environmental resources, the rate at which we are destroying our own natural resources, so that better housing and empty complexes are built. You go to Kampala and you find these magnificent complexes. Second, third floors are empty. It is only the down basement floor. Bribes and kickbacks. Many of our investors who love Uganda, who are our friends for the country, go there, they catch another straight flight back because they can't wait in their hotels and wait for decisions to be made. So many red flags. The judicial corruption that has eroded our public interest within the people that we so much trust. Of course, you know all these bribery, the embezzlement, the graft, the money laundering, personal greed, courage to denounce corruption, so much trust, lack of transparency, promoting someone based solely on loyalty or organization skills, minimizing or responding mildly to corruption allegations and limited authority to decisively punish and bring those to book. Diversion of public funds, which has eroded against the moral ethics of our beloved country. And feel free to take pictures, although I told you to detach yourself from social media for 5 minutes. But some of this is critical for your presentations as well in the future. And I'll give this PowerPoint to you when we're done with the conference. But the misallocation of resources towards development projects. Many of you ask why is the US not having the political will to fight against the dictator. That is a big subject that will take us another 1 hour, but we'll see another presentation for another time. Diminished access of fundamental services such as health care, education. Next slide, please. Those are some of the scandals. There are many, about 270. When we last checked, junk helicopters. For our audience from out of the country, Germany and Australia, and in America here we do it differently. We dig deeper to the core. We ask our FBI personnel, field officers, and CIA. We make networks and contacts, and we get briefings for what is happening on the ground. And what did Kofi Annan say? Can you read that for us?
David, he said, if corruption is a disease, transparency is an essential part of its treatment. Be the cure.
Next slide. How do we avoid corruption? 6 observations: promote transparency and accountability. Technology can be used as to detect and prevent corruption. Provide citizens with tools and platforms they need to help expose the thieves and the shenanigans of the dictator that he so much uses. Let's get involved with international organizations and cooperate with them to collaborate with these global entities. Okay. Colleagues, we are coordinating in conjunction. Can you go back here? Okay. The one next. Next. Again. We'll skip to that. Right there. Yeah. So, strengthening women is key. But we are coordinating the United Nations in this UNADAP. That helps to follow the money. Our FBI colleagues like that. We follow the money whenever it goes. It leads us to get the fingerprints. Who wired what? What was its purpose and intentions? And it helps us. And so the dictator and his shenanigans are very skilled in hiding the money whenever they think they can hide it. And they think they're really getting to be so smart in circumventing and hiding the money under different family members. And so the UN has developed this system of security operatives that help to track jointly within the European Union and our Africa Command to help in following where that money of a specific country and then where those government corrupt leaders take the money to. And so in the end, once the evidence is brought, then it helps us to know how much money was stolen and where and which banks overseas we need to freeze that money. And so by the time they know the money has been detected, it's already too late. We've got the money. Let's continue to collaborate with networks. women should be given leadership positions, educating 1.8 billion young people on integrity and ethics and youth public trust. Ladies and gentlemen, may I submit to you, that's why we are helping to educate, to empower through our American leadership class, the young men and women in Africa, in Kenya, Uganda, and the Middle East, to teach them, to raise leaders, so that when we take government, we don't want to be like the Bushmen who didn't know what to do. And that's how our economies are running the way they are running. So combating corruption requires a fundamental shift on mindset on one that rejects corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm inviting every one of you to use this convention to tackle today's challenges and prepare for the future ones. If we don't educate our young generation about corruption and moral ethics and virtues, they will also live like the way they have been told. That when you are corrupt and you bribe money, as long as you keep it in the house, it's still okay. But when you take it away out of country, then you should probably be questioned. It's not what we need to do. And so our focus in helping these students is critical. Katie, can you read that conclusion? Please.
The conclusion states, corruption has a wide-reaching and negative impact on society. It causes economic loss to individuals and companies, damages democratic processes, and creates greater social inequalities. By reducing corruption and encouraging transparency in all public life, governments can generate fairer societies with more equitable outcomes for their citizens. This is essential to build a better future for us all.
Thank you very much. So we must all stop corruption, ladies and gentlemen. We must all be defiant and do the very best to stop this stigma. Next. My assignment for you today, that we want to get our leadership certificate, do not write the 2-page paper analysis paper today, but at least do the very best in your hotel rooms before going to the board tonight. To at least write me a half a page. In that half a page paper, I want you to discuss corruption and how to combat it. Which countries are the most corrupt? Those are basics. What are the common characteristics of Uganda with its high corruption? Discuss the magnitude of corruption in Uganda. Do higher wages for bureaucrats reduce corruption in Uganda? Submit your answers to me by Saturday today, but I'll extend that tomorrow for Sunday by under the American Leadership 94@gmail.com. And then I'll get those names for those that would be the best to issue our certificates of attendance for this conference. Okay? Thank you very much. And those are the references that you will be covering.
Power. People power.
Let's do it one more time. People power. Our power. Let's do it in people power energy. People power. Our power. People power. Thank you so much, Professor. Mr. Sejinja, thank you so much for that. Amazing. Listening to what was said, I wrote down the quote from Kofi Annan. Very wonderful. It says, if corruption is a disease, then transparency is a central part of its treatment. Be the cure. Now, let me tell you a very short story. When I was in Uganda, I used to work on radio and TV. And every time I went for a press conference, they used to give us some sort of bribe. And you know how they called it? Facilitation. So you go to cover an event, and then they tell you, please write down your names. And by the end of the press conference, then a guy calls you in a sudden mood and starts handing you some $20 or $30 or $50. At one time, I was thinking about this and it was some sort of an epiphany. I'm like, this is a brand, because one of the guys from the Ministry of Health called me and says, Mordecai, I didn't see my story on the 9 PM news. I'm like, yeah, because the editor, decides which story is going to be airing and not. And then it's like, but I gave you my money. Oh, okay. That's when I started saying, no more taking this cold facilitation. And that, by doing that, I became the cure. I never received any call anymore. I just went to any event and gathering and, come hand over my story to my editor, and that's it. And I can't guarantee you, my folks who used to get all those facilitations were always Christian, receiving calls and messages, or sometimes even threats. I gave you my money and you're not running, my story. So please, let's be the cure. Let's be the cure. All right. Our next speaker is none other than Mr. T. I let him pronounce his second name.
Thank you. How's everyone doing?
Good.
For your kindness and generosity to allow me to be here. In a few minutes, we'll get the PowerPoint presentation set. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I'll actually talk about. As while I was researching stuff for this presentation, I realized it wasn't who I was as a person, and it didn't go against values, but it went against how I like to work with people. So in this presentation, at some point, I'm going to ask you all to stand up and participate actually within my presentation. We're going to go through some different, hopefully eye-opening things. You don't have to stand up right now, sorry. Thank you for your I like that. You're ready to go. So, but yeah, so a lot of us have strengths in certain places. And when we show the presentation here, we're going to see that we all have certain strengths. We all have certain strengths. But those can change.
Yeah, I think.
But in most of what we have with our lives is that there is a need, there is to argue, there is a need for something else. So, what I realized is that, and as I was actually
All comes.
realized that each of us have power to share power. And we have to recognize. So today we're going to talk about experiential education, where it's not all about me telling you what to do, it's about you doing it. You being put in that space to make those decisions. So I teach people to make decisions. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make some decisions, and then our decisions may change through this. So we're going to talk about leadership, conflict resolution, corruption, and ethics. Our start thinking about that, all right? So any questions? All right, so if everyone can stand up, make sure you're not next to someone in case you bump into them. All right, so for some reason my PowerPoint didn't work. So, a question will pop up, and if you agree with the question, you'll take one step to the left towards Katie, and that means you agree with the statement. If you don't agree with the statement, and unfortunately disagree is over there, you'll step to the right. So currently you are neutral. So in this activity, you cannot stay neutral. You have to pick right or left. And usually when I do this, and when we have more space and room, we take larger steps to see where we are in a continuum. And that continuum can shift based on what's going on at that moment. Alright? So here's our first question. A good leader always strives to be liked by their team. So if you agree with that statement, step to the left. If you disagree, step to the right. And there is no right or wrong answer. It's what you feel inside. So if you disagree, you're going to come towards me. If you agree, you'll step towards Katie. So, hey, just take one step. Yeah, right now we'll just take one step so we don't bump into people. Just one step. And it could be a tiny step or a little bit bigger step, however you feel. Alright, so a good leader should always strive to be liked by their team. So, now we're going to raise a situation. So, alright, so we can't read that, didn't I? I apologize. Not very good at this. This is not one of my strengths. Interfering with deadlines. So, when you are liked by your team, can deadlines, things that are due, do you struggle with that, or can you struggle with that? Alright, so what would you do now? Because at this point, a deadline, you can't be liked, right? So you have to shift a little, right? So you may have stepped to the left. Now I want you to step again. Do you stay where you're at?
Yes.
Or do you shift? And there's no right answer or wrong answer. This is internal for you to think about. So I would shift. I would shift to the dislike, right? Like, deadlines are hard, and if it's interfering, we have to shift. Go on to the next one. A leader focusing on achieving results and being tough on their team. So, as a leader, are you focused on achieving results and being tough on your team? Do you agree or disagree? So, take your step so you can actually be in it. Alright. So, let's hit the next one. Alright. So, sometimes when we are too tough on our team, we can cause resentment and stress on our team. So you have to find that balance, right? So whatever you are doing, wherever you are working, whatever, like even on your social media and having a platform to help, you have to know when people are able to handle you being tough on them. We live in a very different world now where probably the way we were raised by our parents is very different than how we are raising our children, right? Or if you look at children nowadays and be like, oh my gosh, if you saw my mom, she would have slapped me for that. So within this space, we're just learning, right? We're learning a little bit about ourselves. So we learned a little bit about leadership. Let's step to the next. All right, conflict resolution, happening all the time. It happens within our family, happens within our world, happens within our job. Alright, so here's your statement. Avoid addressing minor conflicts to keep the peace. Do you agree with that or disagree? So we'll hit the next one. Okay, so we want to ignore maybe that conflict, right, to keep the peace. happens if you have a staff member that's showing up late to work every day and now it's causing resentment to other people? Sometimes you have to address it in the moment, right? So would you shift this to addressing somebody? If you're paying somebody to be at work at 8 o'clock and they keep coming in late, would you address that person? All right, so we shift, right? So what we're grasping here is this continuum of leadership and understanding. So awesome, perfect. Better to give in during a disagreement to avoid escalating the conflict. Do you agree with that situation or do you disagree? Okay, so make your step. Next one. All right. So, what happens when you give in and it undermines your needs or values? Right? So we're all in this room right now fighting for a better Uganda because it undermines our needs and values for our land that we're from. So sometimes giving in is not the way to go. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. So you have to find that out. Next one. Right, we're going to talk about corruption a little bit. So, first one. You go to work, somebody gives you a small gift, you accept that gift. Somebody brings you coffee, you accept that coffee. Okay, so I bring you coffee, awesome. Okay, now, what if I decide to ask you to stay late at work and not pay you and use that coffee against you? That's corruption, right? So, we have to find that balance of what it means because people will use that against you. If you're accepting something all the time, potentially your supervisor might be asking something that goes against your conflict of interest. Or vice versa. If you are someone who gives stuff, you have to make sure there's a fine line between a gift to corruption, right? It can drop real quick, so we want to be aware of that. Next one. All right, turning a blind eye to corruption within your organization. Do you agree with that or disagree? All right. Next one. All right. So now, self-preservation comes into play. You are going to lose your job if you say something. Right now, think about it. Where you are working right now, if you say something, would you say something to lose your job right now? Now, sometimes this is a hard thing to do, right? Self-preservation within your work. You know, you may have a family that you're supporting, and losing a job might be hard, right? So you might stay within turning the blind eye. Go to the next one. We're going to talk about ethics real quick. So first one. All right. Cutting corners at work to meet a deadline. Do you agree with that or disagree? I'm telling you, this needs to be done. Get it done. Are you going to cut corners to meet that deadline? All right. All right. So what this does is this can compromise personal and professional standards if you do that. So when we sit there and think about this, and I'm not saying you are at all by any means, but you may have employees or coworkers that do this, right? And you watch them. That really lays down the line that their professional standards at your work aren't very high. Is it ethical to break the law? Do you agree or disagree? I heard someone. Okay. So, when we talk about laws, if it's ethical to break it, what if that law is unjust? Or do you disobey it and break it for a higher moral principle? That's revolution, right? That is when you're talking about someone puts a law in effect that goes against unjust thing, we may need to step up and break the law. Because we're sitting here trying to find a place where we come to a common ground. And so what this presentation was really for is our life sits on a continuum. Sometimes we're to the right, sometimes we're to the left. And in that, when you are doing things, when you are teaching, when you are learning, when you are educating others, we want to talk about this continuum. Sometimes it is okay to agree, and it's okay to disagree. So, last page. So this is something that I stand strong on. Self-discovery is our greatest tool. The more that we know about ourselves, the better we can understand others. So we need to know what we're good at. We need to know what we're not good at. I'm not good at a lot of things, but I'm good at a lot of things. So trying to understand this is you have to keep discovering things about yourself. There might be things you don't like about yourself. But if you discover that, then you can work on it. And the thing I'm going to leave you with here is what is the change that you want to see? So when you are discovering things about yourself, and you are sharing with others, what do you want to see? So I want to thank you. You all can take a seat now. I appreciate you standing up. A lot of times when we lecture and we talk, we sit here and we just listen, right? But actually being able to step into it and actually make those decisions right on the spot is a good way of learning. And this is what we are trying to do within the American Leadership class that all of us teach in, is giving our young students or even our more experienced adults a chance to make certain decisions in a safe, protected space to see where that can take them through learning. So, last thing I'll say before I leave, and it's a mantra that I live by every day, is just be better tomorrow. Whatever today looks like, be better tomorrow. I want to thank you for your time. I thank you for participating and having a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. Allow me to say, Mr. T. I won't pronounce the last name again. Also, how do you translate Kasam Kanyama in English? Gender balance. That's a total lie. What is Kasam Kanyama? What I'm trying to say is that we signed up for.
Committee and Kafat.
Mixed strength. Alright, together. So, we have a mixed strength here. We signed up for a conference, and I can guarantee you that most of us are going to leave this place well versed with in history. We've had a history class here, geopolitics, philosophy, to mention by a few. But I like what you said, Mr. Tim. Our life sits on a continuum, sometimes on the left and sometimes on the right. I think reason and maturity lies in recognizing the balance between the two. Thank you so much. Well, you saw some changes or adjustments being made here. That indicates you that the president and the rest of other people are going to be arriving very soon. So, get ready. And if you just arrived, you've just arrived, please you can go in and get something to drink, get something to eat, but do it in total silence, such that you do not distract other people. I want to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the Deputy Vice President, Madam Junior. again, ask you to do it in a very people power way. People power. Our power. People power. People power. Our power. People power. Oh yeah. Jump. So, yes, and then I want to recognize the presence of our Professor Alimani. Awesome. Well, now we're going to have the last speaker in this session. That will be Katie. Now, you forgive me, I have a colleague of mine at work. Her name is Katie. So I get a confusion between Katie. How do you pronounce your name? Is it okay? Perfect. And she's going to be covering hope through perseverance. Yeah. This why I take this opportunity to tell you, I spent the whole of last year writing my book. I'm detailing my story of how I was born and raised in abject poverty. I was able to go through school, paying myself through school, and I was able to graduate with a bachelor's degree in mass communication and journalism. It might be a small thing to you, but it took me almost everything. And she's going to be telling us, how do we maintain that hope? I have a chapter in the book where I talk about the beauty and importance of hope. She's not going to talk about my book, of course, but she's going to be telling us hope through experience. I mean, we are up against a regime that's been in power for 40 years. Some people might look at us and be like, come on, you can't do nothing. I mean, this man has built himself. It's an entire establishment. How do we maintain that hope regardless? How do we continue telling people that, hey, we can stand up and speak against this regime, despite of the fact that Olivia Mutai is still jailed, despite of the fact that Akile Ochikungu was abducted, despite of the fact that other people are being abducted, tortured, and killed? How do we continue telling Ugandans that, hey, we can still do it? Hope through perseverance. Okay?
Thank you for that incredible introduction, and that's a little bit of an intimidating expectation. However, I hope to not only meet it, but jump over it. My PowerPoint is not up yet, but that will not stop me from beginning. My beloved friends, we have gathered here at this conference to learn, connect, find joy in togetherness, and most importantly, to support each other. We do this our personal experience as well as our collective experiences. I have been strengthened and educated by those who have shared their experiences before me. Our hearts together today sing. They sing of democracy, freedom from oppression, and love. It is that love that I speak of today, because in the end, hope is only given through love. Looking over this crowd today, I see many people that I love dearly, many who have inspired me, many who have built me up, and many who have taken my words to heart, which is the greatest form of respect I can think of. As I look at our long hike to democracy, I see how difficult it is, but not impossible. I am reminded of the trip I took with my daughter, with my 4 children. Yes, I have 4 children. They are the light of my world. I don't know how I got so lucky, but I got the very best 4 children. But I took my 4 children on a hike. This was a hike up to Arches National Park. For those who are unfamiliar, it is a beautiful arch made of stone. It's natural beauty, not hewn by man, simply created by the environment around us. It's enormous and it holds strong. I wanted to show my children the beauty of the world. We began our hike with light feet and a song in our mouths. As the day wore on, the The sun began to become hot. Our feet began to ache. The rock was hard beneath our feet, causing tremendous pain in our heels. But we persevered. As we went, my smallest child, at the time 7, Amelia, began to fall behind. Amelia is strong. She is brave. She is capable. But she is small. And as we hiked, her little body began to fail a little. Just a little. So at this time, I looked at my other children. I gave them direction to go ahead, continue forward, follow the path, and wait for us at the top. My other 3 children are large and capable, and they went ahead. As my stride matched that of my little 7-year-old Amelia's, I came to her to give her that support. I smiled at Amelia. She could see her siblings going ahead of her, and she might have felt a little bad that she was not able to be there with her. But I told her how brave she was, how capable she was, how a 7-year-old taking on this hike was such a feat of strength, how proud I was as her mother that she even tried. My little Amelia, I told her, I know it is hard, but we must keep moving forward, because where we are going is worth it. We must persevere. My little sweet daughter, she's 11 now. But at that time, she asked me, what does persevere mean? And never letting an opportunity for education go by, I let her know with an analogy. I asked her, you know where we're going? And she said, yes, we are going to go see Delicate Arch, a beautiful, beautiful rock formation that I've seen pictures of that many people come from around the world to see. We're going to go see that. And I asked her, is that worth it? And she said, yes. Then I asked her something interesting. Do you know how Delicate Arch was formed? Do you know how it came to be? Or has it always been there? And Amelia, being the wise little 7-year-old, she knew that it had always been there. She said, no, Mother, how was Delicate Arch formed? I again started with another analogy. I took our water bottle out, and I dripped some water on the ground. And I said, Amelia, what is this? And she responds, it is water, Mother, obviously. And I said, when you see water, what do you think? She responds, I think hydration. I think cooling me off right now because it's really hot out here. I think that we need it to survive. And I said, excellent, my beautiful, smart daughter. Did you know it also has the power to change your environment? Each individual drop, one by one, can move mountains. I waved my hand at this huge boulder we were standing by at the moment and said, do you think water can change this rock? And my daughter looks at the water bottle, and then she looks at the rock, and thinks, no, Mom, I don't think water can remove this rock. And then I smiled at her because this was a very reasonable conclusion. That is when I had to turn around. We had gone far on our hike. We were high up in the hills, and I had her turn around and look at the valley below. It had orange, red, white, little light browns, dark browns. It was stunning. We were looking at part of the Grand Canyon, a large canyon that cuts through the heart of our country, and it is magnificent. When I looked at Amelia, I asked her, what created this? And she said, oh, that's not gross. She said, Mom, I'm guessing it's water, because we're kind of going that way. And she's a smart, clever girl, and she was right. Each drop of water created another opportunity to change their environment.
Oh, yes.
Water is amazing. Today, apologies. want you to be bored and we think that that's the only way to do it. We want you to be educated because that is the tool against ignorance. That is the tool against becoming victims. I have been a single mother for 3 years. I am lucky today to have a wonderful boyfriend who supports me. But in those years, I learned how to do everything.
Alimba.
I was not going to be I know how to run all of these computer things. I know what those words mean. I know how to change a tire. I can change my oil. I can do everything that has come my way. I can do that because I am strong. And I learned that because I know the value of education. I knew what I didn't know. I didn't know how to change a tire. So I looked it up. I learned. The other day, I didn't know how to make a loaf of bread using very specific ingredients. I'm allergic to wheat now. I have to learn how to do it without wheat. But because I didn't know, I got to learn something new. I learned how to bake without wheat. Yeah, that was a big win for me. So as I teach my children about this education that has created nothing but opportunity for me, I share that with you. Become educated. Do not let other people do things for you that you don't need them to do. That doesn't mean don't ask for help. Oh, dear God, ask for help. Don't think we can do this alone. But always be prepared to do it alone. Nobody wants to be alone. Nobody wants to battle alone. But sometimes that battle is only ours. Sometimes that battle is only our own. I will never say no to help. But I will never step down from a battle that needs to be won. So, back to my beautiful girl. As we walked with her renewed knowledge and her renewed education, we came up around the corner and we saw a delicate arch. And her eyes blossomed. It was beautiful. She reached the place we were trying to get to. We did it. It was incredible to see her beautiful green eyes light up in such a way as she understood and was able to put into practice those things that I taught her. My wonderful friends, our fight is real. It is hard. And I am tired. I will not tell you that I'm not, because that looks strong. Strength does not come from ignoring reality. Strength comes from knowing what is going on, feeling it, letting us drive us, and then moving forward, putting those steps one in front of the other. But as I think about the fight that is before us, as I see the draining in our eyes, the disappointment when things don't go our way, the tragedy of when a friend is taken. My friends, sometimes it brings me so far down that I have to come up with a new way to reason it out. And because I am who I am and I know myself, much like Professor Tim told us, you must know yourself. I know that when I feel this way, writing a poem helps. And I want to share that with you in hopes that it will renew you as well. It begins. The breath of weariness resides in me, pushing down my desire for truth in exchange for complacency. My darkness floods my field of vision, calling shadow of doubt. My foolish thinking is building a wall of apathy. Oh, look down. Look down. Look down. There is dew on the grass. There is sunlight freely given. There is love for my children, and there is a drumbeat in my heart. Ever true is the breath of the weary. Ever for true, still, and for truer is the loveliness of the love that surrounds. Small is my anxiety when the world is full of such loveliness. Small is my weakness when my heart is so strong. Fragile is the darkness. The sun shines so bright. Hope cannot be taken. It can only be given. Look down, for that is where the roots of beginning reside. Keep reaching. It is in our persistence that we will overcome.
Oh.
Sisters and brothers, and you are my sisters and brothers. Persistence in our forgive me. Our battles may feel small. Our influence may seem insignificant, and our efforts to change it may seem foolish. But nothing is so large that persistence cannot overcome it.
Yeah.
We are each a drop of rain. Every person we bring into this organization, every dollar we raise, every time we have an action, every time we write a letter to our congressman, every time we come to an event like this, it is one more drop of rain. And every time we add to that drop of rain, we begin an absolute downpour of change. Let us be that downpour. Let us create the Grand Canyon. Let us take down those who oppress and fill it with love, hope, and change. This can be done, and we will do it. People power!
Our power.
Power!
People power. Everywhere.
Everywhere!
NUP.
Thank you, my sisters and brothers. I love you.
Oh my God. Imagine that. What can I say? That we can build our Grand Canyon. You know, let me tell you a story. There's a man, he referred to himself as President for Life. Idi Amin. He was defeated. Pol Pot was defeated. There was a man in Congo, Mobutu Sese Seko Kukumem was a band. He was defeated. Hitler was defeated. Mussolini, Stalin, all of them. Muammar Gaddafi, Yahya Jukumbu Jami in Gambia, they all went down. Museveni will go down. Our power. People power. Thank you so much for that wonderful speech. Well, like I told you, we have our people here. They're going to be joining us in a few. The Secretary General Lois Lubongoya, the Deputy President Waiso Mfumbiro, the Deputy Spokesperson Waiso Mfumbiro, the Spokesperson Joel Senyonyi, the Leader of Opposition as well, and then the President himself, former Chocolate Center, Bobby Wine, will be joining us in a few. So be excited. But before they do, you wanted.
Jim and Kim, can you come up front here, please? Let's clap for them. Comrades, the strength and the courage to empower our people power comrades and our foot soldiers, both in Uganda and here, isn't easy. I can't do it by myself without the help and the sacrifice.
People power.
And so it goes to say our People Power National Unity Platform has excelled and is the best in putting on the best conferences ever as we started them. And so my colleagues here do so much. They do a lot of research. And every time when a phone call comes from Dr. Bauma, I just answer and says, David, I want you and your people power leadership team to show up this date, this time, this is the topic. We want you to teach this. And so they do it. They are given 2 weeks and they do the very best. And sometimes I nag them and I push them and they push me. We debate, we dialogue. We look at the process of our revolution. What are the failures? What are the weaknesses? Where are we at as a people? How are we climbing to the mountain top? And so, colleagues, may I submit to you that we together, all of us, can do something. And we will do something. We are not alone. We are never alone. We can't walk alone. And we will persevere. No retreat, no surrender. People power.
Our power.
Our power.
People power.
Thank you very much.
People power.
Our power.
Our power.
People power.
So we have a small token of appreciation to our guests. I'm going to request our Vice President. In Nook, we coronate you once you join us. And we have a symbol that we put on your head to have a welcome sign to our movement, to our values and to our beliefs. So I'm going to ask our Vice President to give this token of appreciation to each of our presenters. If you want to say a few words.
Wow. I was almost refusing because I know His Excellency Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu Obini Musinguzi is present. However, if you trust me that I am able to honored on behalf of us all, the National Unity Platform Party, Diaspora, and also back home, Honorable Nalwima is even present, and Shadow Minister. Hey! Members of Parliament, you know, please, yes. I now commission the two of you representing the Parliament of Uganda and the people who rightfully elected the de facto and the jure president of the Republic of Uganda, His Excellency Robert, whom I am humbled to deputize that you crown these people and welcome them without any reservations to the one and only winning fight. Thank you so much, everyone.
When the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. When the struggle is over.
very, very grateful and would like to walk with you to that canyon. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. The newest members of the National Unity Platform, at least we now sure that we have 4 of them. Yes. People power.
Our power.
Our power.
People power.
People power.
Our power.
Our power.
People power.
Ra! Cha! Oh yeah. So, that's very amazing. I've been impressed by all the speakers that we had. You see the preparations are going on now. All those are signs that should indicate that the president is almost here. Now, we're going to have the Honorable speak to us. More especially, remember, we were told and we know that she's one of the few that we have that are committed to the struggle. We don't question her commitment to the struggle. So, Honorable members, please come and speak to these wonderful people. People, our power. People power.
People power. Our power. NUP. Chakulani.
Everywhere.
Chakulani is our president. Chakulani. Wow, thank you so much, Deputy President. The Honorable colleague, Honorable Solo Kayemba, the Honorable leaders of this diaspora community, including the President, who was the contact person, and others like Joel. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, protocol observed. Allow me to stand over it because of time. Once again, my name is Betty Ethonalima. I'm the woman MP for Wakiso District. I'm the Shadow Minister for Local Governments. And as you've heard, we've just brought in composition our Parliamentary Caucus. I'm the Deputy to Honorable Zaki of the Parliamentary Caucus. We've said, and a lot has been said, but allow me to join each and every person who has appreciated all of you in what you are doing to see that Uganda is at peace, to see that we have a lovely country. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I cannot forward that thank you anymore, but I want to appreciate you. Thanks for ensuring that at least you aid us to check the government in power, because you are aware we don't have another country. We want to I don't see that. Now we're called Uganda. I'm aware that some of you may be already citizens this side, but you have one home country where you originated from. So the matters of liberating Uganda, when we talk about a better Uganda, when we talk about a new Uganda, it takes a step by you and me. We all of us have a great role to play. Thank you so much for that. At least a lot has said, and for me I'm so grateful that as we sit here, as we sit in this room, we already know what we're supposed to be done. We only pray to the Almighty God that one day, one time,